Cool. So I've already introduced myself a little bit. I thought I'd start with, it's always really hard on these Zoom calls to get to know each other properly. So I thought I'd start with a bit of British self-deprecation. Obviously, being in the UK house, that feels like a very appropriate place. And so this is me looking like an absolute nerd on my first day of senior school. I mean, I was going to say I'm less nerdy now, but I don't even know if that's true. But I have slightly grown into my ears. But this is me. I'm the founder of the business, as I say. I'm really delighted that you're all here to join me today. If you want to connect afterwards, then that code will take you through to my LinkedIn and you can just send a connection request. Like, that's what this is all about, right? It's meeting each other and meeting new people, even though we're all in our lounges. So please do say hello and get in touch. So I'm going to start with a video that should sort of set the scene for everything else we're going to discuss. It is a video of Ronald Reagan addressing the UN back in 1984, I believe. Let's see if this works.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
An alien threat from outside this world. I mean, careful what you wish for, Ronald. I'd say
in our
that
obsession.
COVID virus, I mean, it's not from outside this world, but it's certainly a threat that none of us could have predicted. And it's certainly changed life as we know it for billions of people on this planet. And I really love what he said there. I love thinking about that sentiment, right? You know, we, in the face of true adversity, in the face of really scary, uncertain times, our differences feel so tiny. And our collective goals, our collective mission, it becomes incredibly important. And you know, for me, that's our superpower that we've gained through this lockdown, is that perspective, that sense that we can all collaborate, we can all lift each other up, and we can unite to kind of to put our differences aside and ensure we're driving towards some greater good, right? I know that sounds a little woolly, but I want to bring that down to a very concrete reality, which is how can we help each other here in this room today? Okay, so everybody here at South by, or virtually at South by, is here for a reason. You know, maybe it's to meet someone or to meet a certain brand or a certain business. Maybe it's to learn a new skill. You know, what is it that you need help with? And think about how the people in the room, how the people in this room right now can help you with that. So I invite you to take a moment and think about what your ask would be. What's the one thing you would like help with from the people who are here today joining us in this session? For me personally, from a Good Loop perspective, you know, I'm here at South by to meet brands that want to connect with consumers in meaningful ways. You know, I want to meet brands that are doubling down on sustainability. I want to meet brands that are championing LGBTQ rights. I want to talk to brands that are, you know, helping those who've fallen below the poverty line during COVID. Brands that want to do good and that want to step up. Like, that's what Good Loop does. So I'm really keen to meet brands that do that. And from a personal level, I also am loving meeting all the other founders on the DIT mission to South by. So yeah, you know, being inspired by other founders and their story and their passion. So in the chat here on the side, please could you write your ask? What is the one thing you would like to tap into the collective hive mind of this group today and ask for help? I'm going to move on, but just keep populating that chat with your asks. And then at the end of the presentation, I'm going to set aside a little bit of time for us to share how we can help each other. So read through everyone else's asks, think about how you can help, what contacts you might have, what connections, what opportunities you might have that can help someone in this room today. Because honestly, that is basically what I'm talking about for the next 20 minutes, is this sentiment that when we collaborate, all boats rise. So let's put aside our differences and let's be stronger together. Oh God, now I sound like Theresa May. Anyway, I'm going to crack on. So as Ronald rightly highlighted, We are united when we collaborate. And I want to explore a couple of different examples of collaboration that have happened over the last 12 months within the context of COVID-19, within the context of this alien invasion. I want to talk about collaboration with our rivals, with our enemies. I want to talk about collaboration with our peers and our friends. I want to explore how brands and businesses can collaborate with their customers. And I'll end with a couple of examples of how businesses have collaborated with NGOs to really help drive social impact. So the juicy stuff, getting in bed with the enemy. I'm going to start with the obvious one, which is Big Pharma. They have united over the last 12 months and have created a vaccine using previously untested technology in 12 months in a process that should have taken 10 years. On average, this process takes 10 years, but by collaborating, they have massively accelerated that process. And there are a couple of reasons to thank for that. Part of it is the World Health Organization, who published a statement for collaboration with over 150 maybe signatories from across different universities, pharma groups, research centers, as well as governments. So the World Health Organization played a crucial role in facilitating that collaboration, but it also required these big pharmaceutical companies to set aside their differences, set aside their selfish intent, and collaborate. So if they can do it, we can, right? And another fantastic example is this wonderful advert from Burger King. So Burger King are essentially saying in this advert, we don't care if you buy your burgers with us or with McDonald's or Subway or KFC. What we care about is that you support the food industry, support the hospitality industry, who's been so badly hit by lockdown and by people not being able to go out and eat. The hospitality industry is such a precious part of our culture and our society. And so this sentiment from Burger King, it's witty, it's clever, it's very on brand for them, but it's also really poignant and true. So I think this is a lovely example of very classic enemies uniting in the face of the pandemic. And finally, moving it away from COVID-19 and looking at some of the other big fish that we've got to fry right now, Nestle and Mars have joined forces. Now, I can't think of two more iconic adversaries, right? Nestle and Mars are, when you're looking at your chocolate counter and you're deciding whether you want a Kit Kat or a Mars bar, like, that is what those people think about every single day, is winning on that decision in that moment of purchase. And so for them to collaborate and come together is unheard of. It's unseen. These companies have never collaborated. But 18 months ago, they formed the Flexible Packaging Consortium, which is just as sexy as it sounds. It's essentially a industry-wide collaboration that funded research, funded various different data modeling techniques, and then lobbied the government to illustrate the costs and benefits of recycling soft plastics. Currently, the government funds the recycling of hard plastics, but it doesn't fund the recycling of crisp packets and confectionery wrappers and all that sort of thing. So, I think it's really powerful to see that, yes, Kit Kat and Mars are competitors, and there are moments where they have to focus on their points of differentiation, their points of competitive advantage. But there are also issues that are far bigger and more important than whether you buy a Kit Kat or a Mars bar. Okay, so the second section is really about collaboration between peers, where peer groups have come together to create something bigger than the sum of its parts. And I love this first example. So this is the Land of Independence. It's a campaign that was created by 17 independent media agencies across the UK. So whether it's the 7 Stars or VCCP or Good Stuff, these are really iconic independent media agencies in their own right. But what they found was that when the pandemic hit and their agencies went into lockdown, the leadership of these agencies were all facing the same challenges. They were all struggling with supporting their team, with going remote and virtual culture creation, and how to protect their team's mental health, how to create a culture of creativity when everybody's stuck at home. All of the questions they were asking were the same. And so they started a lockdown cross-agency call, and they realized that they were getting loads of benefit from this, learning from each other. And then they thought, you know what? If we all banded together, we would be so much stronger than all of those big holding groups like WPP and Publicis. And that's exactly what they did. So the Land of Independence is a campaign that ran across the summer, promoting all the independent agencies who bring creativity and independent thought into the media industry. Another really lovely example of this collaboration is with the TV channels. So this is a really nice UK example where all of the UK TV channels, Channel 4, ITV, Sky, all of them, they ran the same ad simultaneously at peak viewing time. And the ad was really, it was just a call to take the vaccine. It was using celebrities and influencers combined with doctors and trusted experts. And it was just a piece of public messaging that gave people confidence in the vaccine and answered some of their really legitimate fears and questions about what the vaccine means for them and their families. So, you know, they called it a TV ad roadblock, and I think that's a lovely idea that when we collaborate, you know, we can create these moments of pause. When we collaborate, all our voices come together, and you can really disrupt the status quo. So this is a fantastic example of that. And of course, it would be remiss to talk about collaboration across the industry without touching on diversity and inclusion. You know, collaboration is the only way to make our industry more diverse, and Media for All are doing this. Media for All is a voluntary organisation that runs across agencies, setting young, diverse talent up with mentors and role models. They have role models from across all sides of the industry. You know, I've listed a few there from the website, and as you can see, you know, there's plenty of competing agencies on that list, but they're all stepping up, giving their time, giving their expertise in order to support Black and diverse, Black and minority ethnic communities that are traditionally not very accepted in the media and advertising industry. So it's a fantastic initiative. The website's there if you're interested to find out more. Perhaps you could sign up as a role model, or perhaps you're looking for a mentor. It's a really powerful example of how collaboration can help drive inclusivity. Okay, and the final example amongst peers is the Great Reset. So the Great Reset is a campaign driven by Purpose Disruptors, which is a group of, again, it's a voluntary group across the industry with over 200 people from across different advertising agencies coming together and thinking, how can we harness the influence and power of advertising to ensure that some of the small changes in behavior that lockdown have created last? You know, whether it's not flying us quite so much. It's incredible that we're all being able to meet on Hopin rather than having to fly to Austin. And sometimes, perhaps in the old world, we flew a little bit too much and didn't always consider if we really needed to go to that conference or we really needed that face-to-face meeting. And so these are the kinds of decisions where, yes, lockdown has forced it, but actually, can we bake those into our daily habits and bake them into our society so that we can be a more sustainable, a more green society going forwards? It's a fantastic campaign, such a great cause. And as I say, over 200 different people from different agencies around the UK and actually from around the world got involved in this. So this is some of the creative, for example. We worked with the Independent, that is a Good Loop advert there in the middle, and we collaborated with the Independent, running some of the video creative that was developed, and then funding donations to Green Conservancy and wildlife conservation across the UK and Ireland. Okay, so another really important area for collaboration is with our consumers. Our consumers are a really powerful resource when we tap into them. And I wanted to share an example here. So Good Loop worked with giffgaff. giffgaff are a big mobile network, big mobile operator here in the UK. And they really wanted to focus on Black Friday. They wanted to focus on Black Friday as it is traditionally driven by consumption, right? It's a day where we all buy new stuff, we all consume more, we spend loads of money, and they wanted to put out a slightly different narrative. I'm going to play the ad, and as you'll see, the Good Loop donation mechanic unlocks after 6 seconds, and giffgaff may fund a donation to local recycling projects.
I tend to change my phone every 2 years and sell my old one for cash. Now, thanks to giffgaff, I can donate that money to charity or recycle my phone to reduce waste. Nice one, giffgaff.
With giffgaff, you can refurbish, recycle, or gift your old phone for good.
So it's such a simple campaign, right? It's really just about using your old phone and recycling it or donating it to charity. But it's collaboration. You know, giffgaff are the ones that are putting this forwards as an idea, but without the consumers' engagement, without the consumers' phones, this campaign falls flat. So it was really a call to arms from giffgaff to their consumers, and you know that really complemented nicely the campaign that we ran with them, where every time somebody watched the advert without pressing that tempting skip button, they unlocked a donation to Neighbourly, which is a UK-wide charity that funds local recycling and beach cleanup projects. So again, it was a collaboration. The donation comes from giffgaff, but in order to unlock that donation, the user has to choose to stick around and not skip the ad. And so those small little moments where brands and consumers come together, they don't need to be complicated, they don't need to be grandiose, but they really can make a powerful impact and actually make the ad more memorable and more effective. So this is something that we really considered when we designed Good Loop. So it's really thinking about that moment of shared endeavour. This is an example of a campaign that we ran with Doombar. Doombar are a Cornish beer brand. They're super proud of their Cornish heritage, brewed down in Cornwall, and so they wanted to run a campaign with us that funded beach cleanups around the Cornish coastline. So as you can see, all the money went to Surfers Against Sewage. The user had to watch for 15 seconds to unlock that donation, but then the user could choose if they wanted to fund schools or beach cleanups or their Safer Seas initiative with surfers in Cornwall. So again, the choice is with the consumer. It's empowering, it's collaborative, and that I think is what makes it so impactful. And finally, NGOs. NGOs are often a little bit overlooked by our industry, but they can be a really powerful resource. And I wanted to illustrate this through an example. Pantene are a brand that recently have been doing some fantastic work around empowering the transgender community. They have a campaign called Hair Has No Gender, and they collaborate with partners who can really help them on that mission. So the Dress Code Project is a charity that works in the trans community with gender non-binary people, helping to train them up and get them work within the beauty industry. And by combining the influence and power of the Pantene brand with the authenticity and on-the-ground impact of the Dress Code Project, the campaign was doubly effective. We worked with them, we ran a campaign for them funding gendered intelligence, and after the user watched for 15 seconds without skipping, they could choose if they wanted to fund work in education or funding for a helpline or funding for youth projects and working with trans youth. But again, really creating that collaborative moment. And because we partnered with Gendered Intelligence, that campaign had real authenticity. And these are actually some of the quotes that we found from people who saw the ad. You know, it really brings to life like how powerful it is when brands partner with these charities to put their money where their mouth is and actually make change happen. And I want to end by really just emphasizing that this is never been so important. You know, over the last 12 months, we've all been scared, we've all been isolated, we've all been anxious and alone, and those things have made us really seek reassurance and comfort from governments, from NGOs, but also from brands. Brands are a big source of reassurance for consumers, and they play a big part in society. And so when you look across the board, consumer expectations for brands to step up has really grown over the last 12 months. Consumers are really looking for brands that donate to charity, that support their local community, and that talk to consumers in an empathetic way. So now more than ever, this idea of collaboration, of partnerships, of lifting each other up is really powerful. So that's my call to arms, really, is to say, you know, this new perspective that we have gained is our superpower, and we can harness it together. So I want to take us back now for the last few minutes of the call to think of any of the questions that you posted at the beginning, any of the requests that you have for help. You know, I asked you at the beginning, what do you need help with? Why are you here at South by Southwest? Who do you want to meet? What do you want to learn? post those asks in the chat, and then we as a collective group can see who can help. There are 24 people in this room right now, and I'm sure between us we can find an access point to pretty much anyone, right? Like the power of connection is huge. So I want to take the last few minutes now to just think about how we can help each other and how we can lift each other up. Does anyone have any asks? Anyone you want to meet? Anything you want to learn? Hit me, come on. I'll just give you a minute. None? Come on, guys. You must have things you want help with. We all need help. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I think that's the end of it. Oh, I've just had one more thing, which is, as I mentioned at the beginning of my talk, if you'd like to connect with me, if you'd like to share ideas or collaborate or find out more about Good Loop, then that QR code will take you straight to my LinkedIn, and you can connect with me there. Or you can go to the Good Loop website. So it seems like no one has any questions. Everybody's just fine, which is great, you know. So thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you taking the time. And yeah, I think I'll wrap up here.